Hello Gasheads and welcome to this episode of GasCast. I'm your host Neno, and joining me for this extra special episode is Willett.
Good afternoon.
I forgot what time of day it was then.
I was going to say good evening, but good afternoon.
I mean, it feels like evening, to be fair. We are at 6 o'clock, so we're not far off. And also Weeksy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So yeah, not only is this one special because obviously we get the pleasure of being able to chat about 2 wins in 2 for the Gas, but also because this is the first ever Sporty episode that's been filmed for YouTube. Exciting times.
Yeah,
you two could have looked a little bit more excited when I said that. I've got to be honest.
We've got the face for podcast.
we have got the face for radio. This is the problem.
I've heard a lot about this YouTube. I think it's the future, guys.
Yeah.
So.
And depending on how well that goes, maybe OnlyFans in the future. New revenue stream.
Make some money.
For the pod. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you fancy watching instead, head over to our YouTube, which is at GasCast Podcast, and you'll be able to see where the magic happens. So yeah, go and get on that if you'd like to do that. And something, if it was even possible, something even more exciting than that is that thanks to the support of everyone who voted for us a couple of weeks back, GasCast has been nominated as a finalist in the Best Football League podcast category at the Football Content Awards. Whee! So, a huge thank you to everyone who took the time to vote for us. We are absolutely buzzing, despite that pathetic...
You forget we're being filmed.
Pathetic reaction that just got there. Where's the limbs? But no, we are buzzing. It does mean that on the 16th of November, all of us at GasCast are heading to Anfield as well for the awards night. And whilst it will be great just to be there, blah, 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 we want to win.
We want to win.
We want to win.
We want to do them. So if you enjoy the pod, we'd love it if you could vote for us again. This time it is to win it. And you can do that either by clicking on the link, which I will put in the description of this podcast, or you can vote for us on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll put the details of how you can do that on our socials. So yeah, go and look for our socials. We'll tell you how you can vote again. And also I do apologise in advance for how much I'm going to bombard all of you with reminders to vote for us. So the voting closes on the 8th of October. But you know, it's not every day that something Rovers related gets the chance to win something. So pester every Gashead you know to vote for us, or even non-Gasheads, we're not fussy, and we will love you forever, so please go and do that. Right, let's get cracking then. So we're going to start with Shrewsbury away. Obviously Gas got a 2-0 win in that one. Few stats from the game. Possession was 36% to 64% in Rovers' favour. Shots 12 for Shrewsbury, 9 for Rovers. Shots on target was 4 each. Big chances was 0 for Shrewsbury and 4 for Rovers. And then the XG from the game was 0.71 for Shrewsbury and 2.15 for Rovers. So, Weeksy, come to you first.
Yes.
A lot of this game, got to be honest, was sat there thinking I'm going to be a broken record on the pod talking about how we've struggled to break down another low block team. Obviously, like we had in the previous games, up until the kind of 70th minute, I thought it was a bit of a slog to watch that game, to be fair. However, obviously, thankfully this time, Rovers did find the answer to get the breakthrough. And having taken 1 point, I know it's early in the season, but having taken 1 point in the previous 3 games leading up to this one, it felt like quite an important win, I would say.
Yeah, I think it was important. It's one of those games you kind of target, one of the away games of the season you target, you think, fancy yourself to get something.
Yeah.
And with the games that we had coming up, it felt like we were due a win, weren't we? And it needed to happen. You know, saw lots of comments about, I think, the first half in particular being boring. We weren't really shifting the ball quick enough, and it was the same across the back without actually getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But it very much sounds like we broke them down and we got the breakthrough, which I think being patient got us there. And I think in general as well, we need to be patient, because I think that's the way we're going to play. And hopefully we've kind of cracked that nut, and getting
felt like
the
it got the
breakthrough.
monkey off our back of struggling against a side like that in a way.
Yeah, and I think it just proved the point that we can do it, play in the way that we want to play, which was crucial. The build up to the first goal in particular was really good. Good finish by Big John. And then obviously Aaron Collins getting a...
Scabbing
I'll
one
be
on the
fuming
line.
if I was Connor, to be fair. But, it's important for strikers to get goals. And I'm pleased that he wanted to get that one over the line. And I'm hoping that's going to... it proved again. We'll talk about yesterday's game. But, he's off the mark now. And hopefully we've got Aaron Collins is flying. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. Willett, I thought subs were crucial in this game. You know, sometimes they come on, don't really have much of an impact. Sometimes I think they're actually detrimental as well. I think we always assume that a sub's going to come on and positively impact the performance, which I don't think is always the case. But in this game, Barton brings on McCormick and Jevani Brown in the 70th minute or just before that time. I don't think the players who went off did anything wrong. I think it was Woods and Evans they came on for, who I thought were fine. But from those subs onwards, when those two came on, I just thought Rovers then very much were the sort of dominant side going forwards, and we looked the only side likely to go on and win that game, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think, to be honest, in the past I've been maybe a little bit critical of the subs that we've made, and often, as you say, they haven't always impacted us positively. In fact, sometimes it's disrupted us. We've lost a bit of impetus or whatever. But this time, I mean, it was Jevani Brown's, really, it was a game of real low quality, I would say, generally. I mean, it was just a tough game, one of those kind of, classic chess matches where both teams are trying to, feel each other out a little bit. But then as soon as Jevani Brown came on, he played that fantastic ball out wide to Collins. It was like the first moment of real quality in the game. And that was all it took to open them up. And then a fantastic cross from Collins, great finish from Marquis. But yeah, the changes made a massive difference. We've seen a few times McCormick come off the bench in the past, not really impact stuff. But I thought he was excellent when he came on. And since he got that goal at Charlton, we've seen a slight improvement in just energy from him, which has been lacking, I think, whenever he's played. So yeah, massive credit to the management team for the subs, and I think that was what did it. And the difference really is last season we didn't really have the depth to be able to make those kind of changes. And we'll talk about yesterday's game as well. I think you mentioned it, Weeksy, on the radio yesterday about the depth that we got and the subs we were able to bring on. It's encouraging this early in the season as well to have those options available, even though we've got a mini injury, I wouldn't say crisis, but we've got a few injuries and seemingly okay at the moment, but yeah, so good stuff.
Weeksy, on Jevani Brown,
Yep.
I said on the last pod that was pre-Shrewsbury when I did it with Max that I don't think we've seen the best of Brown up to now. I still don't think we have, and I don't think we've still quite worked out his best position either, I would say. But comes on, and that first time ball he plays to Collins, who obviously then squares it into Marquis, is just absolute class. It's probably like Willett said, it was a game of low quality up until that point, and then he comes in and just plays this first time ball that just completely cuts through Shrewsbury's back line. And
that's the importance of having that squad depth, isn't it, Mike? I mean, we know the talents Jevani Brown's got, and that he has shown flashes. I think up at Pompey, first game of the season, he did the same, got the assist there. Look, Jevani's not played a lot of football since January, let's be fair. I don't think he's probably completed 90 minutes since January.
Yeah.
So I think he's one of those I think we're going to have to be really patient with, and I think in the second half of the season is when we'll see the best of him. So when the likes of Collins isn't quite doing it and a couple of others aren't quite doing it, having Jevani Brown to come back in and unlock defences, as a second option, I think puts us in a really, really strong position. I mean, I was really, really happy when we signed him for his footballing quality, and I really think he'll get us out of a hole more often than not. So exactly that at Shrewsbury, we're looking for that breakthrough, and that one ball gets us in, and then we're through. So I think as time goes on, the more minutes he gets, the better he's going to be.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then, Willett, in terms of Macca, like you said, I think since that goal at Charlton, there has been, you've sort of seen it turn with him, because I thought when he came on here, it wasn't like he had any big moments as such. Thinking back, I don't think he was particularly involved in either of the goals or anything. Doesn't get a goal or an assist, But I just thought he brought like an energy to the performance. He came on and suddenly everything was quicker. He was getting it, popping it off first time, sort of bursting into the box, making runs beyond the strikers. And you think back to some of the cameos he had last season where he's coming on trying to make an impact and it just goes like terribly wrong for him. Thinking obviously mainly back to the Forest Green away game where he's coming on almost trying too hard and the performance goes downhill when he comes on. But in this game, I thought he made, without the big moment, made just as big an impact on it as Jevani Brown coming on, really.
Yeah, I mean that was almost really what he was known for, Mako, when he was first here, was that high energy, chasing round. And I must admit, I've probably said it a few times on the pod. I wasn't massively impressed with his first spell with us.
Here he goes again.
Oh God.
But I was, and when we brought him back, I thought, here we go. But I wasn't like, everyone was buzzing when we signed him, and I thought, well, he's a young player. He clearly has a lot of potential. And then, of course, he had a bit of a shocker last year, and it just never got going. But it's really encouraging to see him. He obviously took his goal brilliantly at Charlton, and he's now starting to play a role. Last season his biggest role was coming on for Glenn Whelan, so he can get his massive standing ovation. That was probably his biggest impact last year. But I'd be delighted if he was to really come good. And I think that high energy that was his real strength, I felt, in his first spell. And we need that in this team, because I think we got a lot of players that are quite neat and tidy. They're good on the ball, they keep possession left, right, but he's somebody he's a little bit like Evans in the sense he wants to get on the ball and drive forward with it. So long may this continue, and it's a long season, so he's going to have to play a role, I think. So I'm encouraged.
Heard he was all right in the West Ham under-21 game? People said he played quite well. I know he missed a few chances to score that he probably hit the bar with one, didn't he, as well, I thought?
Yeah, he hit the bar. He looked bright. I was one of the scabs. Sorry, I just wanted to see how we'd get on.
Didn't mean to call you out on the pod to say that you were there.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, but I just quite like to see how the second string gets on. See it. Look what our squad depth's like. Yeah, I thought McCormick looked bright. Unlucky not to score. I think he's one of those. He's going to be an impact player for us and give us that something different. I like the way he tries to break lines.
Yeah.
He will run beyond the strikers, which I don't think we've got a lot of from central midfield. So he's definitely that option for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Coming back to you as well.
Yep.
Talking about sort of Shrewsbury's stubborn defence up until the time that Brown cuts through it. Obviously, this was first clean sheet of the season for Rovers. And I thought even when it was a bit of a slog for the first 70, I never felt that threatened by Shrewsbury, to be honest. I thought we kind of kept him at arm's length for most of it. And if we're going to pick one person out the back line from this game, Connor Taylor, what an absolute colossus he was in that match.
We were even saying it yesterday. He's come back, had a kind of little settling in period, I think, where Joey's not chucked him straight in at the deep end, let him come in, have a look. I think we play a different style to what we did in League Two, if I'm honest. I don't think we're as direct. We do play it around a little bit more. New goalkeeper behind him. I think that's that really good management by Jerry, to be fair. Brought him in for a hefty price tag for us, which would, will sit on people's shoulders. But I think he's an absolute man mountain for us, and I think he was a big investment, but it's now a big asset, which I think will pay dividends in a couple of seasons. I think he will be one that would end up going for quite big money, in my opinion. I've been really impressed with him. We knew what we were getting with him, and again, he's another one. As the season goes on, he's going to get stronger and stronger, and he's going to be in the heart of that defence for many a year, hopefully. And actually, we made a comment. I think future captain. I know Sammy Finley's captain at the minute, but I think Connor Taylor's our future captain. Definitely noticeable against West Ham when you can hear everybody. Connor Taylor's so loud. And, for a young man, he looks like he's got that presence about him and that natural leadership. I'm really looking forward to watching our Connor Taylor now develop.
I'm back home.
I'm back home. Yeah, in his Stoke accent, which is quite funny, wasn't it?
I've never been more confident in a signing before. I
thought you were about to say I've never liked Connor Taylor.
I've never been.
I was worried then, Mike. I was worried then.
You've got to stay on brand and slate him.
I've got to find some flaw. But no, he was absolutely fantastic in his first season. But then, to sign him, decent amount of money for us. That 300 grand, like you say, it's going to put some pressure. But I'm just absolutely confident he's going to just take that on, take that burden on. As you say, he's got those kind of like leadership qualities. Yeah. But really encouraged by it. Yeah, fantastic stuff so far.
I thought in a game like that as well, because Shrewsbury are probably one of the more direct sides in the league. And thinking back to last season, a lot of the away games we struggled in was the teams that played quite direct against us, because we didn't have a centre-back like him who could deal with that and would get his head on everything. You know, you think how many goals we conceded last season from a team just hitting a long ball through the middle of us and it would just cut straight through us and the striker would be in. So I thought, you know, you watch someone like Connor Taylor in a game like that, I think if we had him last season, you know, Gibson was a cracking player, but he's more cultured, I thought. You know, he's not a big 6 foot. I don't know what Connor Taylor is. He's like 6'6", 6'7". He reminded me a little bit of Steve Elliott. I don't know if you probably both remember Steve Elliott. At times, it was like he had a magnet in his head. Like everything that came in the box, Steve Elliott was there nodding it away, you know. And I just thought he was like that in that Shrewsbury
game. And I don't
game.
think that's necessarily all to do with his height either.
No,
I think it's just like cracking positioning and knowing the game. It's quite nice when crosses are coming into our box thinking, he's going to deal with this. You know, not having to worry, which you're right, we did last season, didn't we? So.
Yeah, for sure. Last thing I wanted to just touch on with this game was, I think you mentioned it, Willett, was strength in depth, because there was a lot of chat after I'll come to you on this one, Weeksy. There was a lot of chat after the West Ham game. I saw on the forum people saying, oh, you know, this game proves the squad has no strength in depth, blah, blah, blah. But feel free to disagree with me on this, by the way. No. But in my opinion, I don't think strength in depth means you can change the entire 11 for a whole new 11 and expect to get a result. I think it means that in a game like this that people care about, a league game, you can bring someone off, like Luke Thomas, who came off, and put on a player who's of equal quality or around that sort of level. And we do have obvious holes in the squad in certain positions, like, you know, we would like another striker. With the injuries, probably need another centre-back at the moment, or could do with one. But in general, I think this game showed that the strength in depth in a lot of positions is there. We're bringing quality players off the bench that last season would have absolutely killed to bring those players off.
Yeah, and that's crucial. I mean, I tweeted after the West Ham game, you know, there's a few out there that shouldn't be playing, or it shows that why they're not playing in league games. That doesn't mean to say that you can't sprinkle a couple of them in, as we'll talk about yesterday's games. A few were sprinkled in and it looked all right.
Yeah.
We've got options all over the pitch, and I think it shows that. And I quite liked Joey's interview after the West Ham game, actually, that he gave West Ham a lot of credit. I'll definitely be in that camp. They were brilliant. Some of the kids were unbelievable, honestly.
He's 100% going in for one or two of them in January.
Yeah,
he couldn't stop bigging them up.
I know,
that's January.
Any of the guys that are there, they had the two centre midfielders. I think it was number 51 and number 40, a little lad in particular that just run the show. You know, I think Sammy Finley, when he came off after an hour, he kind of looked up to us lot. He was like, thank Christ I'm coming off.
Been given the run around there by some 20-year-olds.
He did get a run around, but, you know, like you said, it doesn't mean that you change a whole 11, any squad in the country. I'd include your Man Cities and that. If they change the whole 11, there's going to be an impact on that.
Well, how many times does a big side like Man City or United or Arsenal change an entire 11 and get knocked out the FA Cup by someone in the Championship?
As long as we can sprinkle one of two in and have those options, and I think we have that, it puts us in a strong position.
I mean, every club relies on their best players. So, like, you know, even Man City, you know, they lose a couple of their key men. They lose Haaland. They're suddenly they look a bit thin up top. So, yeah, I mean, we're no different. So like you say, I think generally speaking, we got it about right. It appears.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, good stuff. Let's move on to Wigan then. Yesterday's game, obviously 4-1 win. Stats from that one: possession was 50% each. Shots 15 for Rovers, 9 for Wigan. Shots on target 6 for Rovers, 3 for Wigan. Big chances 2 for Rovers, 1 for Wigan. And then the XG was 0.96 for Rovers and 0.60 for Wigan. Willett, coming to you first. I had a bit of a mixture of feelings going into this one, because I always felt that Wigan's kind of more attacking mindset would suit us. Their style of play would suit us more so than Lincoln, Wickham, etc. However, obviously, when the team sheet comes through at 2 p.m. and you're seeing the back four, how makeshift it is. And also, let's be fair, Wigan's false league position as well, with obviously their points deduction. Before the game yesterday, if they hadn't had those 9 points taken off, I believe it was,
8 or 9, wasn't it?
They'd have been sort of just underneath the playoffs. So they're obviously a good side. And obviously a lot of talk about our poor home form as well, which, you know, we can't deny has been pretty poor for the last year or so. So, yeah, just brilliant to get a win at the Mem. And to be honest, because I was stood in the Blackthorn again yesterday, and when Barton came over to do his post-win fist pumps, I'd almost forgotten what that feeling was like at the Mem. It felt like it had been so long since that had happened. It was just lovely to get a win at the Mem on it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just an excellent all-round display from everyone, and I did feel as though there was a really good sort of vibe around the club. Even just walking in and seeing that kind of partially built south stand and thinking, that's quite a big structure, that. And actually thinking
it looks good in person,
doesn't it?
It's so good, isn't it?
I love that the little tent that they had in a stand within a stand. That was that lifted my spirits as well. But it was just a really, really great day. I mean, I thought it's been a while since we felt like that. It was often I feel like even when sometimes we've won games, we've snuck a point, it can be quite difficult to watch because sometimes I feel when it clicks, it looks fantastic. Like that was almost perfect yesterday. That was just like players are confident, players are fired up for it, jumping into tackles. Crowd gets up for it. But sometimes, when we're playing teams that do play like a low block, and it feels quite slow, and it feels quite, like players are getting a bit frustrated with each other. But it was also good, I felt, yesterday to kind of test that theory about, are we actually good against teams that like to attack us? I mean, we kind of had this idea that could we, let's hope we are actually better against these types of teams, because
if we're not, we're in trouble.
We're crap. We can't beat teams that defend, we can't beat teams that attack us. So I felt like that was a really good litmus test of just how good we are against teams like this. It makes me wonder whether other teams might look at that and go, okay, well then we need to change our way. But it's kind of, I quite like the fact that we have our style and we're not going to change the way we play. This is that you change the way you play, if you like. We're going to continue to play like we do, and I think over time, hopefully, we'll start to see this look a bit more comfortable as we go forward. So, yeah, I'm really pleased.
What was your thoughts on stand within a stand?
I loved it.
That's
mate.
classic Gas. I love it. I'm such a big fan of it.
Ever.
I'm such a big fan of it.
It was wonderful. It's funny because a few people have kind of like mocked it. City fans have been all over it. Like, what the hell is this? And it is funny. It is funny.
I mean, if that was City, we'd be absolutely tearing into that. So I completely get that.
Yeah. No, you're right. But they kind of had to do it. I think they have to, don't they? Because they have to provide some. But they also have the other stand that's by the west stand.
Southwest stand.
Yeah. That's complete now, isn't it? That bit's actually ready, isn't it?
It looks like still it was the temporary seating to me.
Oh, did it?
So I think that was a stand within a stand as well. I think.
Oh, was it?
A temporary stand within a temporary stand. Apparently,
I don't know.
It's like bloody Inception, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many layers to these stands. It's unreal.
It was great, and long may that continue. We always find a little room for that little tent.
Yeah, we got to keep it.
We've got to have a tent somewhere.
Do you remember when it was randomly on the left of the as you're looking out from the Blackthorn, they randomly put it on top of the terrace in
family,
didn't
family
they?
That's
fantastic. That was so gas.
Did you sit in there with Arch?
No,
I'm pointing at the camera. Arch is sat behind the camera as well.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it to him. But it's forever there, because I think it's there on the when we won 7-0 against Scunthorpe, so those highlights, that little stand is always going to be there.
Yeah, always in our
part of
hearts.
history.
Yeah. So Weeksy, obvious cliche klaxon coming in. Goals change games.
Oh yeah.
Asgard goes through for Wigan in the 10th minute, has a one-on-one, puts it wide, thankfully. Rovers then 3 minutes later go up the other end. Thomas gives us the lead.
Yep.
Perhaps I thought got that bit of luck with him missing that chance that we've not had in similar games like that, because I was thinking back to the Wickham game. They score with pretty much their first attack. They hit a free kick into the box, score, go 1-0 up. How many times is that? It's so rare that at this level that a team gets one chance, scores it, and you're behind.
But it always seems to happen.
But it always seems to happen.
Yeah.
But it didn't in this game, and it was just nice to get that bit of luck. And obviously, those 3 minutes are vital, because they don't take the lead, we then go and get it, and the whole game sort of changes on that.
And it just wasn't the whole. I don't think it was just a game that changed. It was the atmosphere. I know the atmosphere was good before the game, I thought. Everyone seemed up for it. I think it's the first time most people have seen the stand almost complete. So I think there's that, uplift. But yeah, that chance missed and then us scoring. It's probably the best atmosphere I've heard down the Mem for a long, long time.
It was good yesterday, wasn't it, the atmosphere?
Yeah, it was really good. And Joey replied to my tweet on Twitter, which was a bit weird. So notifications are going a bit mad, but he was right. He said when the mem's up, you can see that the players are lifted, physically lifted. And it was great. And, to have that feeling back and the team playing freely was really nice to see.
Yeah.
And I thought we started quite well as well, and it was quite nice. Which we noticed was another team actually come out and try and play some sort of football against us.
Yeah.
Although I did think that they were trying to hit Charlie Wyke as quickly and as often as possible, which I think we dealt with really, really well, which I know will probably go on to the player performances, but I thought our guys dealt with that threat really well. I mean, he's a very good striker at this level. So it's really good, and it's nice to have that bit of luck, and I think we've deserved it. I think the Wickham game, even Lincoln scoring against the run of play, I think it troddens your confidence, and in the stands you're like, oh, here we go again, and you can always hear like the moans and groans, and that obviously transpires out onto the pitch as well. And it was nice to have that bit of luck, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, you're right. And I do think like it's interesting when people talk about the atmosphere and like people say like we got to get behind it, we got to try and be positive, but it almost always comes from the players first. Like, and I felt like from the first minute, the players they just seemed to have a different kind of energy about them. They were like right into them. And and the fans then responded. I always feel like it comes from the players first. And I know, like Barton's saying, we need to keep the volume up. But it's got to come from the players first. We ain't going to do it ourselves. We've had a poor run at home. Like we need some encouragement from the players. But that's so it's one of those. We're all working together here. But if they don't play, if they don't step up, then I don't think the fans do either. That's unfortunately that's just part of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday the atmosphere was good because the performance lent to something to get behind. There was chances. Like in previous home games, we've been so cross and shot shy as well. And yesterday we were getting in crossing positions and just whipping it in and creating chances, and just goal mouth action and moments of excitement gets the crowd up, and there's like a momentum that comes off of that, I feel. So yeah, really enjoyed it. How big do you think the first goal actually was? Because almost as I said that earlier to Weeksy, I was doubting myself, because obviously we did take the lead, but then they equalised like 5 minutes later, and then the crowd then did go a bit flat, because it was almost like, yes, we got the lead. Oh, fucking hell. Now they've equalised. So
it's a huge problem if they went 1-0 up.
Yeah,
I think it would have been a huge problem for us.
I agree.
I think it would have been flat instantly. A form side in Wigan would have caused us a lot of problems then, I think.
Yeah, I
especially
agree.
with a makeshift back four, but because we got that lead, it almost gave them that extra 10%. So,
and I suppose maybe if they get the lead, maybe then they go, oh, actually, let's just sit back now and counter attack.
They become the low block team.
They do become that team.
Yeah,
potentially. Yeah. Complaints around their goal at the time from a lot of appeals on the pitch. Barton came out afterwards and said that he basically thought it was a ridiculous decision to allow the goal. Willett, I'll come to you first. For me, live at the time, I was stood pretty much bang in line with the centre of the goal in the Blackthorn. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought Cox should have been a bit stronger, to be honest with you. It looked like a bit of a 50-50. What did you think of it?
I completely agree. I thought, it was one of those, I mentioned it earlier to you boys, that it was one of those that you're so used to keepers being protected maybe too much that's a free kick most of the time. Keeper goes down under a challenge, that's a free kick. But referee chose not to give one, and looking back at it, and even at the time, I just thought, I think Cox just got out. He might have got slightly pushed, but they're both going for the ball. There's shoulder to shoulder. There didn't appear to be anything else that was over the top about it, and I thought it was fair enough. I thought the referee generally had a pretty poor game, but in that instance, I thought that was a fair decision, and it's certainly not an outrageous one. I think some people around me were like, that is absolutely disgraceful, but I just didn't see that. I just thought, like you say, I think Cox has just got to be a little bit stronger. That's probably one thing to note about Cox. He's been brilliant so far, but he's not an imposing goalkeeper, but you don't have to be. But I think in that moment, against Wyke, he was always going to come second best, I think, when he's challenging with him. But not a foul for me.
I felt it was just a little bit of a case of a young, inexperienced keeper going up for a 50-50 with Charlie Wyke, who's been around the block, plenty of experience, bigger physically, and just using a bit of that against him, really. I just think if a Rovers goal gets disallowed for that, we're absolutely fuming, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I just don't,
I think he just gets up before him. And he can't get through him. Same here. Like, I had a lot of people around me going absolutely mental, but I was just kind of looking around going, I'm not sure. So it's one of those you're claiming for, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, you claim for it, but it wasn't a foul looking back, not for me.
No. Weeksy, I thought, obviously, they did equalise quite quickly after we went in front. Then we regained the lead about 5-10 minutes later or so. I just thought it was huge that we managed to do that as well and go into the halftime break with the lead, because I think if it goes in 1-1, then again, maybe the Wigan manager says to them at half-time, all right, let's just sit back, let them come at us, counter-attack. But the fact that they had to come out after the break and try and attack us, I thought was, played into our hands a little bit. And to be honest, first half, there was periods of possession for both sides and periods of dominance for both sides. Second half, I thought was all Rovers, and we looked like the only side that was going to go on. I mean, I said to my dad at half-time, actually, I said, this isn't finishing 2-1. And when I said that, I kind of meant I could see both sides scoring again. But actually, at the end of the game, Wigan just didn't have a sniff in the second half.
I think our general consensus around us and on the East Terrace was, we can get as many goals as we want here today. It did feel like that. I think we were set up for that as well. I don't know if we're going to go and talk about the team setup, but I thought we were set up to attack. I think Joey could have gone the easy option and put Gibbons at left back, maybe, who's played there before. We know we can play there, but no, he went with a central attacking or / winger in Harvey Vale at left back, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute, but I thought was absolutely superb. And we had a lot of attacking threat. And the same on the other side with Jack Hunt, who they seem to be playing 10 yards further forward than we have been. And that gave us that impetus. I was like, no, we're not going to let them get a foothold in the game. We just went straight back at them and kept our noses in front, which was just crucial for the game. Because I genuinely think if Wigan got ahead in that game, they sit into that low block. They're quite a big physical side. And
Crowd
I think
gets frustrated again.
I think that would have been the game plan, if I'm honest, but we didn't give them that option. We just kept going at them, kept on noses in front and didn't let them in. So, really impressive. That showed some character, that showed a lot of character.
Yeah, and it did have that feel at half-time, I felt, though, that this was still on a knife edge. Like you say, this could have still gone either way. Because that first half had a whiff of, we've given the ball away a couple of times. They had that chance, that one-on-one chance. We are letting them in. But that second half was absolutely, perfect, really, absolutely brilliant. And like you say, I mean, we could have got as many goals as we wanted, really. But great stuff.
Willett, Collins and Marquis, both on the score sheet for this one. Second league game in a row, actually. Both began the season missing chances that you'd expect them to score. But obviously both back amongst the goals now, and I thought both took their chances really nicely as well. Obviously, two quite different goals, but I just thought they were brilliant finishes. Yeah,
fantastic. And it's obviously great to see Collins back in amongst it, because I think if we are going to be able to do anything this season, we need Collins to be banging in goals like he was last year on a more consistent basis, perhaps. He can't go quiet after January again, but no, I mean, I think Collins is just, in the last few weeks, I've definitely noticed a real improvement, just little things where he's coming, maybe dropping a bit deeper, collecting the ball, getting on the ball a bit more. And
looks a bit more positive. He's driving at players again and going past. There was that run in the second half, shooting towards the Blackthorn, where he beat 5 men, I think, and then shot it over the bar. But
and they had that their winger Claire. He had a bit of a battle with him all game, and he just had the better of him, I think, all match. And I think he definitely got the bit between his teeth. And with Marquis, I mean, that was just a fantastic striker's header for the goal. I mean, a wonderful cross from Hunt, but brilliant from Marquis. And you always know you're going to get. You always know there's a threat of a goal with Marquis in your side, and he doesn't always show it, but he's. I think he's key to be a squad player, but he's obviously, given the lack of numbers we got up top, he's going to have to play, most weeks now. But I'm quite comfortable with it. I'm not too. The issue would be if any of them gets suspended or injured, then we've got a bit of an issue. But I'm very, very pleased for the pair of them, and again, long may that continue as well.
Thought with Collins' goal yesterday as well, I think that's kind of when he's at his best finishing wise, is when it's an instinctive shot. I think Willett, you and I chatted about this, didn't we, on a previous pod, where when he's got time, it's almost like he gets inside his own head. Like we've seen him miss one-on-ones this season where he seems to overthink it. Yeah. But yesterday's goal shrugs his man off. Like, really nice to see him use a bit of upper body strength as well and shove his man off and then just twat it in, basically. Yeah. I just think he is an instinctive player, isn't he?
Yeah, I know I criticised him on the group chat, didn't I, about 15 minutes into yesterday's game. And I thought, he's going backwards again, and he seems to be, falling over a bit. But to be fair, the rest of the game, he definitely looked like Aaron Collins. But yeah, I knew that as soon as I sent a message, that'd kick him into gear.
That personally,
that'd kick him into gear. But no, it was great to see him at his best. He like he said, Willett, I think he really enjoyed that battle, and he knew he was getting the best of that number 7 as well. And obviously the old East Terrace were on his back straight away, which was great.
So what happened with that number 7? Because I saw the East Terrace was giving him shit for the rest of the game.
It was superb.
But from the Blackthorn, I couldn't really tell what had fueled it.
He went through the back of Aaron Collins, and then he kind of give it the big one, but then started to make a few mistakes. He had a dreadful game, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then I think we just smelt blood and just went for him.
I mean, it doesn't take much for the fans to just hone in on a player, and if they're like a fullback or a winger that's just like constantly running up and down in front of us, that's all it takes. And I think there was another one where he went in, he left something in on Collins early doors, and Collins kind of turned around and was like, hang on, what's all that about? And you just knew there was going to be a battle then all game. But all good. Love that.
Nice. Marquis, just on Big Johnny.
Yeah, he was good.
I thought, Weeksy, I'll come back to you because I know you love a bit of Big John, so I'll come to you on him. As well as the goal where he sort of gets across his man at the front post, classic header. Yep. Just thought his all-round game, hold-up play, bringing others into the game, I just thought he was superb and showed what we missed in games like Lincoln, where we're playing with kind of Jevani Brown at the top, where I just don't think it was almost like too fluid and just didn't really work. I thought Marquis just gives you that platform up there to play off. I thought he was brilliant at that.
And yesterday. I think the way this team's set up, we're always going to need that platform. So, if you've got the likes of, Luke Thomas, Aaron Collins, it was Jevani Brown, Anthony Evans, they're all technically brilliant footballers. And John Marquis just goes and has his battles with the two centre-halves, and that allows our guys to play and be free. I thought yesterday, what I like strikers to do, play with their elbows up in the air. He was getting in front of people and going down, and it definitely won a free kick. We've spoke about this millions of times. I absolutely love it. Everyone loved it around it. Yeah, and it just, like you say, is that problem. But I'll tell you why he is starting to look good and he's starting to score goals. It's because we're crossing the ball.
Yeah, getting service into him.
If you've got a John Marquis who's going to play between the post, which invariably he does, with that ball going in the box, he looks a threat. There's a few times in the first half where he had some chance. He always looks dangerous and he's always on the move. And Jack Hunt said in his after-match interview that he's had to get used to John Marquis because he wants to get in front of his defender. And for me, that's an aggressive style of play. And what the defenders don't like that, where people getting across him or blindsiding them. And he's just a wily old fox. He's experienced. He's shown his value. And, when we signed him, I was happy because whenever he played against us, I remember the goal he scored in Darrell Clark's last game against us. It was a superb effort, and I've always liked him. I think we're lucky to have him. I genuinely do, and and I know we missed out on our number 1 target in the summer transfer window, but we're still in a good position, and I still think we look really strong. And God, I just hope he stays fit. Yeah, because then we may have a problem. But his injury record, I'm not really sure. It's not overly bad. He doesn't seem to miss games. So
I think that's the other thing. I mean, you mentioned it there. He tends to play, in between the posts, like in the box. Yeah. I think if we've asked him sometimes to kind of drop a bit deeper, collect the ball, and that's not really where he's effective. And I think you can kind of tell it's not his game, and he's not particularly like enjoying it, maybe, but. He's absolutely fantastic. He's a deadly striker, absolutely fantastic. And I know he missed those chances early season. I mean, he'd be playing in the Premier League if he could finish them all. Yeah. But really, really pleased. And he always seemed to score against us. Always a good player against us. So I was delighted when we signed him. And he's done very well.
I also think that lesser players may have crumbled with all the JCH stories, thinking, the manager doesn't fancy me. We've gone in to sign one of the better strikers in League One for a huge fee. they must not rate me.
Yeah, well,
fair
he
play,
knows.
he's come in, captain's armband when Sammy Finley's not playing, and he plays with his chest out, and he's a leader. And I know big respect to him for that, because lesser players have just gone into their shell going, well, I'll probably be gone in January, and why am I bothering?
Started sulking, throwing his
But
toys on the
no,
pram.
this is his opportunity, isn't it, to go and say, like, don't sign anyone in January.
Yeah.
I think we still should, but he's staking his claim, and I think he knows he's loved, because I don't think he had the best time of it at Pompey. But with the Thatcher's end singing his name and stuff, fair play to him. I'm pleased for him.
Yeah, because he's got that. He just smacks of journeyman striker. He's been around this level all his career, so that you could be forgiven almost for sort of being a little bit suspicious. Like, is he just here for like one big sort of final payday at a fair? Because Rovers pay quite well by all accounts. That you think, is he going to want to put the work in? But even when he's been out of the squad, the management team have always said, like, he's just a fantastic professional. So, yeah, credit to him, and he's, is really helping us out. So, yeah, long may that continue.
That post-match interview you referenced from Jack Hunt, I found that really interesting, actually. I was listening to it in the car on the way home. And
I thought it was good.
Hunt was saying how he likes to cross the ball either middle of the penalty area or back post, whereas Marquis likes to run front post, and saying how these relationships kind of take time, and it's quite a small thing really, but you think it's actually also a massive thing that the service needs to be in the right place, that the striker in the team, he wants to run into those areas, and like these things are going to take time. So the fact that we're now, obviously Hunt's now having to change his delivery slightly to match the striker playing up top, but the fact we've now got a goal from that, I mean, it's not ideal that we've let the rest of the league know that's how we want to get the cross.
We like to whip it in specifically in this area.
Do you not think, though, for me, hearing that interview, like Jack Hunt's experience, John Marquis's experience, they know that they need to do these things. They're not playing as individuals. They're playing the way that suits the team and suits their teammates. And yeah, for me, that was really, really refreshing to hear. Really good.
Yeah. Another game where, aside from the Asgard chance, obviously the one-on-one, I thought it was another really solid defensive display, and I was pretty nervous going into it because of the makeshift back four we had. But again, never really felt that threatened by Wigan, aside from that one-on-one. And this is a Wigan who had hit 4 against Bolton earlier in the season, had hit 7 against Leicester under-21s in the week. I know it's an under-21s game, but to hit 7 is still, pretty impressive. But yeah, Willett, just thought for a makeshift back four, as we said, just a really impressive defensive display from some players who just shouldn't be back there, really, ordinarily.
Yeah. I mean, got to mention Josh Grant.
He was next on the schedule, but
I knew it was coming. I mean, Josh Grant, for me, was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, he does it again. Like, we just stick him in positions that we think, that's not really his normal position. In fact, I couldn't even tell you what his position is supposed to be anymore. We signed him as like a CDM type player. And in fact, probably in all the positions he's played, that's probably the one area I'm not sure I'd have him back in now. Like, he's either, left back, which, I think he does okay there. But he was absolutely brilliant on Saturday. And I thought, and it was refreshing because we all would have seen it going, Josh Grant, injury prone, can he last 90 minutes? It's a big position to play against a good side.
Also, he's not a big player.
No.
He's not particularly tall.
But again, like he seemed to win lots in the air.
He won a lot.
And you mentioned it earlier, Weeksy, about Connor Taylor, like just having that. It's not all about being big and tall. He just seems to have that timing. I think Josh Grant has that timing based on what we saw yesterday, and really pleased for him to get 90 minutes in. Let's really hope that he can stay fit, because we said in pre-season, like, it's a big season for him. I'm surprised he's had as many minutes as he's had already, but hopefully paying dividends. And we'll probably mention it, but Harvey Vale, thought he was excellent at left back, really, really good. And we were discussing it, but on the East Terrace, a few of us were discussing. I'm not sure if left back. Again, big game, tough game. I thought he was absolutely superb. And there was one ball that I think it might have been Finley possibly played it, and he might have been offside. He might have possibly been offside, but the way he controlled it, first touch, and he just sort of like brought it under control. I thought, wow, okay, all right, this kid's, he can trap the ball and pass it. This kid, which is like the basics, but really encouraged by what he can bring to the overall squad. He won't play every week, but based on that, we shouldn't have any concerns there.
It makes a huge difference when you do the basics well, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know that sounds really simple, doesn't it? But you can get that ball under control.
This is why we're award nominated everyone for analysis.
Like do the basics well.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think I would have seen Josh Grant as an option in a back three, probably as one of the centre-backs. I think he played there quite a lot for Chelsea. But I thought to come in the centre of a back four against someone like Wyke, who is experienced, and I thought Wyke pulled off on Grant quite a lot and targeted him. And I just thought Grant dealt with it superbly. I'm just really encouraged by his performance back there, because we are, by the looks of the injury situation there, with Kramer going back to Brentford, Wilson apparently being injured now.
Gonna be needed.
We're going to need him there.
Yeah, he's going to be needed. I thought he done really well. Like you said about his timing, I thought it was when he decided to let Charlie Wyke have the header. He had the awareness around him to think, well, I'll let him flick it on, because he was flicking it on to nobody. And then Harvey Vale, I thought, was doing really well, sweeping up behind. I didn't expect him to be in a back four, but what I will say is his quality on the ball helped us get out as well.
I agree, yeah.
So he was quite positive passing out. He wasn't necessarily going sideways. He was into Finley, into Bogard, and we were progressing up the pitch brilliantly on that left-hand side. And Harvey Vale at left-back, I mean, I was astonished. It looked like he'd played there his whole career, which, I think, I thought, if you're going to play out of position, playing fullback's probably the easier one to do, I would say. But, we played a lot further up the pitch, like we've mentioned, and with Josh Grant inside of him, especially because they were next to each other, that was a worry. I was kind of surprised that Taylor didn't play that side to try and protect Harvey Vale, but they had the confidence and it wasn't needed, and it proved it in playing against a good side like Wigan.
Yeah, and I thought Wigan's two wingers were probably two of their most threatening players as well.
Yeah.
I think, was it Dodu they had on the left wing?
Number 17.
Really
he's
tricky
very good
player. Really tricky player.
Yeah.
And the bloke who played on the right, who obviously Vale was defending against, I also thought was a threat as well. So for him to, deal as well defensively as he did, and also offer... I think we all knew that he was going to offer a lot going forwards, because he is a winger, really. But as you both said, technically he is superb, and he looks like he's another good option now, and we're going to need it because I think Friend's injured, Gordon I think is injured as well, so we're having a real defensive injury little situation going on. But those two guys did brilliantly to fill in. Weeksy, actually, a question for both of you.
Go on. Interesting.
Before yesterday, what was the last league home game at the Mem where we beat a side by more than one goal? Any ideas?
By more than one goal.
It's not Scunthorpe, is it?
It is the Scunthorpe.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Getting on video as well.
Yeah. it is recorded.
Come on,
absolutely buzzing. Is it really?
Yeah.
That's a worry.
So all of last season, I mean, we didn't win many home games for a start, but the ones we did, it was like 1-0, 2-1. So yesterday was the first time since.
I thought yesterday felt a bit unique. I was like, this feels quite comfortable.
Yeah.
Normally going into the last few minutes, we're either really frustrated, bored, or but I was buzzing there.
Yeah,
that goes to show the importance, doesn't it? I think it was said. Joey said about getting one goal and then going on to get that second goal.
But it was like,
we're not putting people to the sword, are we? So
nice not just to get the win, but for it to be an emphatic scoreline that you come away thinking, we haven't just won that game, we've won that game.
Yeah.
We came away thinking that's going to do absolute wonders for this squad. Winning games like that really
it's a confidence
brings the squad together.
As well.
They'll be buzzing this week. You'd like to think. Happy with that.
Yeah. Obviously, 4 goals. I thought 4 really good goals in different ways. Question for both of you. I'll come to you first, Willett. Favourite goal of the 4 and why?
I loved Marcus's goal. I thought the fourth one was fantastic.
I love how we spent 10 minutes just eulogising about Marcus on this pod, by the way.
I really like. I mean, I know I can only pick one, but I like Thomas's goal as well. Actually, looking like at the time, I thought it's just come through a crowd of players, and keepers probably should have done better. But it's a lovely finish from Thomas, and good build up as well. It's really, really good stuff. But
I'd have dropped him before this game as well, Thomas.
I
think he's been really quiet before
just
yesterday.
On Thomas. So I mean,
here we go.
So this guy has been stinking up the 11th.
Victim.
No, so he was another one that when we signed, I was like, not sure about Thomas.
Like
I know, but I thought he did okay in League Two. Anyway, I've done all this. I've sort of said all this on the previous pods, but I did feel like my one criticism of him was always, can he create enough? Does he score enough? It's one thing being dangerous and looking lively. You've got to deliver a bit more, and I was also of the opinion that if he doesn't deliver today, then maybe it's time to think about other options. But he is. I mean, there is something to be said about being a threat. It gives the opposition something to think about all the time. You can't sleep on Thomas because he will punish you.
Just his pace, the threat of him running in behind the team.
Absolutely. But yesterday he was a constant threat. He scores, he assists. I mean, that cross for Jack Hunt's goal is brilliant. I mean, Collins probably should have got on the end of it, but it's just such a threatening ball that you can't defend things like that. So he's building all these things into his game that I didn't think we saw in his League Two spell. I think like what we're seeing now is Luke Thomas version 2.0 is like we're seeing a different player here, and great stuff. So, but back to your question, Marquis, my favourite goal, fantastic header from a perfect striker's header.
Nice. Weeksy, favourite goal from yesterday?
I'll go for a different one because I was going to go that one just because of Jack Hunt.
We got so many to choose from.
Yeah, I think everybody
spoilt for choice.
Everybody knows my feelings. Jack Hunt, I think, unbelievable.
We have got a Jack Hunt section coming up, so save yourself.
I'll leave you on that. I've got plenty to say. Don't worry. For me, it was Collins' goal, and it wasn't the goal. It was actually the pass from Finley. I thought it was absolutely superb, and Finley was great all game. I thought
we've also got a Finley section coming up.
How long we got?
You're not allowed to speak about anything.
A good pass from Finley. Yeah, okay. You're in charge. You're the host.
Yeah. I'm the star.
No. Yeah, it was Collins' goal. Great ball from Finley. Good imagination. Good execution. And a good finish as well, like we said, instinctive that we touched on, and not a tap in for him. It's a proper goal.
Yeah.
And in front of Thatcher's end, which is going to do in the world of confidence. His confidence a world of good. Sorry. So, yeah, it would have been John Marquis because I just think on the eye it looked great, didn't it?
It was nice.
Like a proper
old school.
Yeah. Full back whipping it in, getting across the striker's whip.
Sorry, I just
he's still buzzing about it,
goal, man. It was because we were both right behind it, and it's one of those that like whenever you get that kind of power on that header, it doesn't matter even if it's straight at the goalkeeper, it's going in. It's just fantastic. Anyway, yeah.
I reckon
Collins' goal was also pretty good.
Night, he's just thinking about that.
I just 100%.
He's just
got it on repeat.
But yeah, for me, I'll go different because I did like that one, but I did like Collins for those reasons. A great pass and a confidence boost for Aaron. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could have picked the others as well, couldn't you? I mean, they were great. So, let's go on to Jack Hunt, shall we?
So there was 3 individual performances I wanted to chat about. One of them was Harvey Vale, which I can't feel like we've done Harvey Vale, so we'll leave that one. First one we will talk about Finley first.
Yeah.
Come on to Hunt.
Yeah.
Finley been criticised quite a bit this season, I think, for his early performances, including by myself, by the way.
Rightly so, yeah.
I don't think he's been great for quite a while, to be honest, including the last 6 months or so of last season. Start of this season, I don't think he's been that great. Woods comes in, displaces Finley from the side. Obviously, Finley comes back in yesterday. Got to be honest, saw his name on the team sheet. I was a little bit like, oh, really? We've got Finley starting, have we? I just don't think he's been up to it at all so far. However, yesterday, come to you first, Willett.
Yep.
I thought he was absolutely superb, Finley. I know we, in our GasCast group chat, were talking about who was man of the match. The nice thing was there was probably 6 or 7 different names chucked in that chat, which probably shows how well all the team played, really. But the 2 main ones that were coming up were Finley and Hunt. But yeah, Finley, centre midfielder, I thought all-round game, attacking, got an assist, was getting tackles in, interceptions. Just thought he was brilliant.
He was fantastic, and he hasn't been quite at the races for a little while. And I agree. Like I think most of the squad were kind of off colour, like the second half of last season, and I think he's kind of been part of this transition of moving into maybe a different style. And sometimes it takes players just a little bit of time to kind of get used to it. But yeah, he was brilliant yesterday, and I think the difference he brings to the squad is we've got players like we've got Grant Ward, we've got Woods now, even Bogard. They're kind of like neat and tidy players that they like to get the ball, kind of keep it simple. the thing about Finley that I think sets him apart a little bit is that he just demands the ball all the time. Like, he will move to any part of the pitch to support whoever's got the ball. He just wants it. He just give me the ball. And normally in League, when we were in League Two, he had that quality at that level to be able to pick a defence splitting pass. At this level, it's a little different. So he has to change his game a little bit. But it just seemed to suit him perfectly yesterday. And we talked about that energy that across the whole squad. I felt like he was kind of key for that. He's often the one that sparks it because he's so aggressive. He's so into players and I think there is a danger when you don't play players like Finley that we do become a little bit pedestrian. And I think that maybe when Woods, I think, looks a really good player. Grant Ward, very good player, but are they the type that's going to be like, grab the game by the scruff of the neck?
He definitely gives us a bite in the midfield that isn't there when he doesn't play, I think.
Yeah, and he deserved a goal yesterday. He had a couple of cracks at goal, and he can score from distance. We've seen it.
It's just nice to see him shooting.
Yeah, positive.
Because previously, games against Lincoln, Wickham, we'd get into shooting positions and it was like we're trying to walk the ball into net, and we'd just sort of pass it around the area, end up losing it, and they would attack. But it was nice to see him have the confidence to get it 20 yards out and have a crack, because he has got it in him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really pleased for Finley. Let's hope he can keep it going. And he is the club captain, so they obviously feel like he's got a big part to play this season. So, and he is a player that Barton likes to kind of take out, and he won't play him every week. He probably knows that he can't play every week, fitness-wise, but I think when he plays, he's gonna he have a part to play. I think he proved a lot of people not wrong, but he's made people think, okay, he's still a player to play. So,
anything further you'd like to add on Finley, or do you want me to come to you on Jack Hunt?
Oh, you come to you on Jack Hunt, please.
The dessert.
I think Mike said everything about Phil. I agree with everything he said.
So Hunt, man of the match from the game yesterday. Give him man of the match, was he?
He should have been.
Should have been. If he wasn't, he should have been. What a signing that bloke has been. Obviously, scores the second goal in this game. Quite a difficult finish as well when you watch it back. It's not as easy as I thought it was. Looked from the Thatchers at the time, and then crossing for Marquis, just as we said, absolute pinpoint into where Marquis wants it. Defensively, really good against a tough, tricky winger that Wigan had. Winger went past him a couple of times early on. I was a bit, he's got Hunt's number here, and is he going to give him a really tough game? But I thought after that, Hunt was just everything about that guy. I love him. Yeah,
it's just, everything about him, really. He's come down from a big club in Sheffield Wednesday, and you'd be forgiven to think, he's come down, not quite up for it.
She did.
Yeah.
It was a tiny club before Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, that horrible little club south of the river. But, so, and that also makes it slightly difficult for him, because I think if he doesn't get off on a good start, that, is an easy
he's getting hammered. If he has a poor start, he's getting hammered.
Yeah, so, fair play to him. He's come down. I'm displaced Luca Hall, I thought, for the last 6 months of last season, looked absolutely superb.
Yeah.
And I do think this will help Luca in the long run. He probably doesn't feel like that right now because he's not playing, but I think learning from Jack Hunt and being pushed by Jack Hunt to improve will help him. But Hunt on the pitch he looks solid defensively, which is crucial. I spoke my cousin's red half and spoke to him about Jack Hunt. I said, we're getting in. What do you think? He said, you might not like him defensively, but going forward, he's absolutely superb. And what can I say? His crossing is absolutely superb. I think if there's one criticism of Luca Hall is that his crossing's not quite on it, really, for a fullback. But his crossing's superb. I think that's 2 or 3 assists already this season, and chipping in with a goal. I know he admittedly doesn't score many goals. I don't think we should expect many more from him. But it's that bit of experience in a side where we were calling out for it last season. I think it's just really, really helping us. And listen to his interview yesterday, which he touched on, which was really pleasing. So I think he's going to be a natural leader just because of what he's achieved. And it's exactly the type of player you need if you're going to have a bit of a push in this league. And I think it's a really, really good signing. Did he sign a year or a 2-year deal? I'm not sure.
I believe it was 2 years, but I might be wrong on that.
Hopefully that's a good 2-year deal.
Know.
Yeah, let us know if you could. But I think that's a 2-year deal. And he's a huge asset for us, and can't speak highly enough of him. And he was quality yesterday.
Willett, I know we all love young players being in the side, and especially players that Rovers bring through, but And this is nothing against Hall, by the way, who I think will be absolutely fine going forward.
They definitely will be.
But Hunt, if Hunt stays fit, you struggle to see Hall getting back in the side over him.
I think, but Barnes alluded to it a few times that, it's a long season. If you're going to, you got to use the whole squad. So I wouldn't surprise me if Luca comes back in for a few games. I mean, I'm not quite sure how old Hunt is.
I
He's
think
32,
he's early
isn't he?
30s, yeah. 32,
Okay,
32.
so I mean,
there
no,
goes the
absolutely
flag.
Absolutely knew that
that
happened,
was
by the
gonna
way.
for audio listeners, just
Knew it
ignore
was
this
going to
bit.
happen.
Anyway,
Who had the blue
I've
tack
completely
job?
lost my thread, but
Yeah, sorry, it doesn't look as good now. We do apologise.
Yeah.
We're in the last bit, aren't we?
We're in the last bit.
but I think with Luca, this is all part of his development. He's played a lot of games already for a lad of his age. I've got no concerns. I mean, with Jack Hunt, I thought it took him a few games to get going, but that was again an almost perfect performance yesterday. And if he can kind of, he's going to bring that experience that maybe it's particularly in that back line. We were quite inexperienced last season. Now we appear to have some real experience in that area, which I think is, well, you just need it. You just absolutely need it against those kind of teams with the likes of Wyke up front. It's just crucial that you got players who just know how to deal with them, and I felt like we had that with players like Hunt in the side. It just helps.
Finishing off on the Wigan game.
Okay.
How concerned are we by the injury issues going on with the defence at the minute? Because, touch wood, that this doesn't happen. And we don't know how long James Wilson is out for, by the way. I don't think that's been said by anyone at Rovers how long it is. But we are at the moment a Connor Taylor injury away from looking pretty threadbare at the back. We are in big trouble.
I am a little bit concerned, actually. I think you're right. I think a Connor Taylor injury and we're bang in trouble.
You're then looking at a centre-back partnership of Grant and
Gibbons or Hall.
Bogard or Hall.
I mean, there are options, but we suddenly find ourselves in a bit of a situation defence, which I know we loaned out Connolly, but we thought we had plenty of cover, so I think we've been a bit unlucky. So I think if Wilson's was only a knock and it's this week, he's got all this week to get over it, I think we'll be all right. It's not ideal. I think Tristan Kramer sounds like that's a long-term one for him to go back to the club.
Brentford,
So, and George Friend, I noticed in the Lincoln game he was complaining about his back, and I think it is a back injury. That's a worry because they can niggle for ages. And
he's not played a lot of games in the last 2 or 3 years as well, as he, Friend.
I'll be honest, I think I could probably see us in January either recalling Connolly. I think it needs to be in January that we recall him, or we have to dip into the market or a free agent market for a centre-half, which we don't want to do because we want a striker. So, a little bit concerned, but if Wilson is only a knock, I think we'll be all right.
All right. Let's move on to the Peterborough game, preview of that one. Obviously, our next match, next Saturday. I'll be honest, haven't even written a script for this section because it kind of writes itself. I think we all
know what's going to happen, don't we?
What the obvious storyline is for this game. Hopefully it doesn't happen. How are you, Willett? How are you feeling going into this one with the big JCH saga looming over it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's inevitable. We're all thinking he's probably going to notch against us, but I feel very confident after that game we played on yesterday. I actually worked with a Peterborough fan, and he was saying that they're sort of going through a little bit of a transitional period as well, where they're trying to change their approach, their strategy a little bit. And the fact that they've still got JCH is a bit of a plus for him. Obviously, he's still scoring. He's come straight back into the side and scoring goals.
Scored, one in the last 2 in 2 now since that whole transfer saga.
So it'd be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they don't. My friend in work was saying that they don't draw games. They go for the win every time. So there'll be a lot of high scoring games, we think, with them. So it could be quite an interesting one because obviously we're trying to be an expansive side ourselves, so I think it should be a really decent game. Do you want score predictions now?
Not yet.
Not yet. We're saving that. No. I'm confident. I'm confident we can play well against them, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be good.
Yeah. Would you take a point in this one, or as we sit here right now, or are you going there being satisfied only with getting all 3?
No, I'll take a point. If someone offered it me, I'll take a point just because of our last 2 results as well. Getting a couple of league wins. As long as we do start winning our home games. A point away is brilliant.
That's almost been the issue, hasn't it? With the form at the men being so bad, the pressure then is so much on the away games to go and take 3 points. Whereas, like you said, if we can start winning at the men, then you can go to places like this where actually a point is a good point, and you can take a point and be happy.
I think it might still be a good opportunity to go and get 3, though. Like Willett said there, they're going through a transition period itself. They didn't expect to have JCH in the side, so they were going down a different route. We don't know if that causes any upset within the changing room there, but look, they've got an obvious threat, and I can almost see it happening. And does he celebrate? It might say a lot about January. I don't know.
Might be quite a tasty one in the boardroom, that one.
I did think that. I thought, how does Tom and the owners go into the boardroom and hi everyone.
Gorringe, Weil and Darren McCanty
Sorry everyone
around the table.
But
we need boardroom cam for this one. I actually don't care about the game. I just want a camera in the boardroom just watching them
that would have been
watch
superb.
the game.
That first 30 seconds of meeting going hi everyone. To answer your question 100%, take a point. And I think we go into Port Vale at home if I'm correct. Then we can look forward to that, can't we? And I know they're flying high, but look forward to trying to get a result against them. So, a point would be good, I think.
You wonder whether Marquis might feel like he's got a bit of a point to prove. I mean, but Barton mentions, I think when Marquis scored recently, he said, there's been lots of talk about players coming in. He might have felt a little bit under threat, but he's kind of knuckled down and got going. But it might be his storyline this weekend, where he's the one who don't bother signing anybody in January because I'm here to stay, kind of thing.
You're not usually the positive one. What's going on?
Come on, that's me. I am a glass half full.
He hasn't stopped smiling, has he? He hasn't stopped smiling.
No,
that goal was so good. Can we talk about it again?
What happens to the real Willett? Would you do anything with the lineup, like change it at all from the Wigan game? Obviously, there's probably not a lot we can do with the defence, but in terms of midfield and attack, you keeping it much the same?
If Wilson is fit, though, I think Wilson would come back in. I probably wouldn't. I would be tempted with it being away game to put Woods back in to try and keep that ball a bit better. So also we gave up a bit more possession against Wigan. But I don't really think you should be messing around with a side that's just 1-4-1.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I would do is bring Wilson back in if he's fit.
Anyone who started yesterday would feel aggrieved to be dropped, wouldn't they?
I agree, and it's a bit of a tough decision, but I would be tempted to put Wilson in for Grant, maybe. Just because of the threat of JCH, obviously. Yeah,
I think it's normal when you have like a makeshift sort of defence like we have, that they do sort of return it to some sort of normality when they can. But, I feel like you say, I think most of those players would feel aggrieved if they weren't starting after that. It wasn't just a decent performance. It was like probably one of the best I've seen for a long time. Probably since Scunthorpe at home.
Funny you should say that,
I wouldn't change an awful lot. But maybe Woods comes in. I think being away from home, the ability to kind of keep the ball a bit better, having those neat and tidy players I was talking about, I think that's actually more important away from home. So, do that.
You're now allowed to give us your score prediction.
Yeah, 4-0 Peterborough. I'll go 1-0 Rovers.
Oh, I'll take that.
Do you want to give us a scorer?
Marquis.
Of course. Of course.
Weeksy?
1-0. And a goal scorer, I think Collins will get another one. He's a streaky player. So
he is a streaky player.
I think he'll get another one, yeah. I'm not even going to tell you who's going to get Peterborough's goal, because we all know he will.
I'm going to go 1-0 Gas, 92nd minute, JCH own goal. Runs into the away end in celebration of the travelling Gas heads.
Yeah.
Does a signing contract celebration. Yeah. No, in all seriousness, I think I'm going to go 2-2, I think. I can see it being quite an end-to-end game. If Peterborough are going to attack us, as you said, as our mole in the camp told you, then I reckon it could be another, do you remember the Barnsley game at the Mem this season, where it didn't turn out to be that high scoring, but it was just so end to end.
Like it was going to be a goal every time.
Yeah, every time someone went forward. I can see it being another one of those.
Yeah.
Probably JCH will score, I imagine. I think it'll be a really good game. I definitely think it'll be one to watch. So, all right. I think that is everything. So, thank you to everyone for listening. and for watching. If you did enjoy this, then do let us know, because it was an absolute ball ache to set up, I'm going to be honest. So please let us know if it's worth the effort of doing this again, because if not, we'll just knock it on the head. But no, yeah, much appreciated for listening. And as I said at the top of this, please go and vote for us to bring home the trophy in November. And
we don't want to have to put those faces on where we pretend we're pleased for the others.
Oh, I won't put that face on.
Oh yeah, no.
I will look pissed off. Unashamedly.
We're flipping
so.
tables if we don't win this.
And then what if the City Pod's been nominated as well?
Oh god, imagine we're up against it.
I almost hope they have, actually, because then I think the fan base mobilises behind us even more.
There'll be a big swell.
Yeah. No, regardless if the City Pod's been nominated, please go and vote for us anyway. We'd much appreciate it. But yeah, thanks to everyone, and we will speak to you again in a couple of weeks' time. So until then, up the gas.
Up the gas.
Up the gas.